Okay. So this is our introduction to our first experiment, that is calibration of venturimeter. So first we need to know what is this venturimeter and what is the purpose of this venturimeter, and then we'll do the experiment. I'll show the video which is taken in our laboratory, FMHM lab. Then we'll calculate the coefficient of discharge for this venturimeter. Okay, so these are all the contents which are available in our introduction to our venturimeter experiment. Okay, so history of the venturimeter, introduction, construction of venturimeter, working principle, types of venturimeters. We'll see this content, and next we'll see the limitations and precautions, characteristics of venturimeter, applications of venturimeter, and advantages as well as disadvantages that are in your venturimeter. Okay, next. So while coming to the first content, what we have is history. So he is the scientist who has introduced this venturimeter. Okay, just see when it was done in March 23, 1842. In that time he has done this. Was an hydraulic engineer. Okay, Clemens Herschel, the name of the scientist who introduced this venturimeter. So next, while coming to the introduction of venturimeter, first we need to know what is the purpose of that. So venturimeter is a device used for measuring the discharge of fluid flowing through a pipe. But rate of flow or discharge, both are same, rate of flow. So how much volume of water or how much volume of fluid is flowing per second. So that is called discharge or rate of flow, right? So this discharge is denoted by the symbol capital Q. And if you have the discharge, we can also find the velocity of the fluid running through that pipelines also. So that is another use. If you know the discharge, the fluid may be a liquid or gases. So this is the venturimeter, the shape of the venturimeter. So these two ends will be connected to a pipe where we need to find the discharge. In middle of that pipe, we need to connect this venturimeter. And these two things which is here are connected to the U-tube differential manometer to find the pressure difference. How much pressure difference is there at this part and how much pressure difference is there at this part. Like here, if you can see here, these are the piezometers connected, but in lab we'll connect a U-tube manometer. I'll show that how it looks, right? So here, if you see the venturimeter, this part here, you see this. So first, this is our pipe to which our venturimeter is connected, where we have one convergent shape here. Nothing but the diameter of this pipe will gradually reduce. Diameter will be reduced. Then we have this small part, circular cross-sectional part, that is called as throat of the venturimeter. And then we have some part of the pipe or venturi which is divergent. Nothing but the area of cross-section gradually increase up to some level, and then again that it is connected to the pipe. So these are the three parts of the venturimeter we can tell. What is that? Convergent part, throat in the middle, and the divergent part. Right. So what happened when we reduce the diameter of a pipe here, the velocity of the fluid flowing in this will increase and the pressure will be decreased. Okay, in this convergent part. And here it will flow with the same velocity which is generated here up to the throat value. Then again, if you see, the diameter of this divergent is increasing gradually. So the velocity will decrease and the pressure will be increased in the divergent part. So these are the three parts of your venturimeter: convergent part, throat, and divergent part. Is my voice audible clearly?
No, sir.
Yes or no?
Sir, your voice is breaking, sir.
Breaking now. I think network issue is there. Okay, if you have any problem, just please ask me to tell again. I will tell that part again. Okay, up to here, everything clear? So next, these are the things which I said already, where the cross-sectional areas will be varying for the three different parts of your venturi, right? It uses a converging section of pipe to give an increase in the flow velocity. So first, converging section, what happens? Velocity will be increased and correspondingly pressure drop will be there in that. Similarly, venturimeter are flow measurement instruments which use a converging section of the pipe to give an increase in the flow velocity. Okay. Next. So this is the construction of venturimeter. I already said we have three parts in that. That is the first one, converging part, where the diameter gradually reduces. The second part is throat, which will be cylindrical in shape. The last one, diverging part, where the velocity will be reduced and pressure will be increased. So these are the three parts of your venturimeter. Right here, you can see the shape here. Here, cross-sectional area is reduced, then it is constant for the throat. Then again, the cross-sectional area is increased for the divergent part, right? So now you can see what is this convergent part. It is a portion of venturimeter where the fluid gets converges. The function of converging cone is to accelerate the fluid and create pressure difference between the inlet to the converging cone and the throat. Okay, this part already I said. What happens? The fluid will be, velocity will be increases, so automatically acceleration will be increased, and there will be a pressure difference between that inlet as well as this part. Pressure will be decreased. So this angle through which angle of this converging cone will be around this 14 degrees to 20 degrees angle for that converging part. Next, for throat, if you see the middle part of the venturi main, the cross section of the throat is less than the cross section of the converging and diverging parts, that already we know. As the fluid enters in the throat, its velocity increases and pressure decreases. As the velocity increases, the pressure automatically decreases in throat also. The function of throat is to stabilize the flow. Nothing but it will flow in the constant manner because the cross-sectional area is same throughout the length. Next, in the diverging part, if you see what happens, the function of diverging cone is to reduce the velocity and increase the pressure to its original value to the extent it is possible practically. But here again the velocity will be decreased, so automatically the pressure will increase and it will be almost equal to the initial pressure available in our pipe. Almost, not fully, little bit. The angle of diverging cone is maintained as from 5 degrees to 7 degrees. Okay, so these are the three parts of your venturimeter which are seen as. And next, if you go for the working principle, on which principle this venturimeter is working. So that is nothing but Bernoulli's equation, the principle of Bernoulli's equations. This topic you will get in your subject. Here directly I am showing what is that Bernoulli's equation. So it works under the principle of Bernoulli's equation and equation of continuity. So Bernoulli's equation, first we need to know what is that. It states that in any flow, the total energy at one point in a pipe is equal to the total energy of the fluid at the next point. Nothing but if you take two sections here, for example, if you take one cross section here, the total energy which is here should be equal to the total energy which is here. So that is the meaning here. So what is this total energy? First we need to know. So there we will get 3 points in this total energy. We have three energies, that is pressure energy, kinetic energy, and potential energy. So these three, summation of these three energies is called as total energy. So this total energy for the section 1, nothing but P1 by rho 1 G plus V1 square by 2G plus Z1 should be always equal to some constant. So this constant we can replace for the second section. So P1 by rho 1 G plus V1 square by 2G plus Z1 equal to P2. Nothing but at the second section pressure will be P2. So P2 by rho is constant, same fluid will flow. So density is constant. P2 by rho G plus V2 square by 2G plus Z2. If it is a horizontal, Z1 will be equal to Z2. If this is a horizontal venturimeter, Z1 will be equal to Z2. And for inclined and vertical, it will be different. So Z1 equal to Z2 in case of horizontal venturimeter, because we have types of venturimeters again, that is 3 types are there. Okay, under what we are getting, we'll get inclined, vertical, as well as horizontal. Okay, so this is a working principle. It works on the principle of Bernoulli's equation and equation of continuity. So equation of continuity is this one. At section 1, discharge. This is nothing but discharge. A1 V1 equal to A2 V2. Discharge at the section 1. This section if I consider as 1, this section if I consider as 2. Continuity equation states that the discharge through this is equal to the discharge through this. So this continuity equation equal to rho 1 A1 V1. Discharge is denoted by AV. So if it is compressible fluid, what happens? Density will changes as it is compressed. So rho 1 A1 V1 equal to rho 2 A2 V2 if it is compressible fluid. Suppose if water is there, it is incompressible fluid. So directly continuity equation becomes A1 V1 equal to A2 V2 because density doesn't change. So rho 1 will be equal to rho 2 if it is water. Okay, or liquid is fluids. If we have liquids there, rho 1 equal to rho 2. If it is gaseous, what happens? If you compress it, the density of the gas will be changed. So there we'll use rho 1 A1 V1 equal to rho 2 A2 V2. So this equation is called equation of continuity. Okay. So here if you see at the section 1, the cross-sectional area is given as A1. The velocity of the fluid is V1. And at throat, if you see, the cross-sectional area is A2 and the velocity is V2. So what happens here? The pressure will be decreased in this convergent part. So automatically the velocity will increase. So see here, velocity will be greater than V1 always. velocity will be greater than V1. Initially is V1 in the pipe. In this part, V2 will be greater than V1. Similarly, A2 is always less than A1. Next, P2 will be less than P1. Next, same thing here. By reducing the cross-sectional area of the flow passage, a pressure difference is created, and the measurement of pressure difference enables the determination of discharge through pipe. So by using this measurement of pressure difference, we are going to find the discharge. So how we are going to find this pressure difference? By using differential manometer. So manometer is a device which is used for finding the pressures at different points. Suppose if you connect a U-tube manometer, shape will be U, not YOU, only U, symbol U, letter U, U-tube manometer. If you are connecting that U-tube manometer at these 2 points, it will show the pressure difference to us. And that U-tube manometer consists of a manometric fluid, which have more density than the flowing fluid in the pipe. Okay. So mostly in our labs, we'll use mercury as our manometric fluid. I'll show that while I'm showing the video of the experiment. Next. So these are the things we need for calculation of our venturimeter. Okay, venturimeter flow rate is formulated. So Q actual, what is the Q means? Discharge. Actual discharge is equals to coefficient of discharge. CD denotes coefficient of discharge. This is the thing which you are going to find in the experiment. What is the coefficient of discharge of the venturimeter? Okay, CD we need to find. So Q actual equal to CD A1 A2 under root of 2GH by the root of A1 square minus A2 square. So this is a formula for calculating Q actual if you have coefficient of discharge, and this A1 A2 denotes areas at the 2 different sections. Section 1 as A1, section 2 as A2. And H denotes manometric reading in terms of water, head, in terms of water. How much height water is we are collecting, that is the H value here. Right. So where what I said, CD is the coefficient of venturimeter or coefficient of discharge with discharge for venturimeter, and its value is less than 1 always. Next, discharge coefficient depends upon Reynolds number and the size of venturimeter and increasing with the diameter. So this Reynolds number topic you will get in the second unit, you will understand there. So this is the number which shows which type of flow is there. Is it laminar flow, turbulent flow? That will show by using this Reynolds number that you will learn in your class. Okay. Next, flow effect in a venturimeter is the velocity profile through a venturimeter. So this is a profile where the velocity will be more at the throat part. Always the velocity will be more. So that's why it is shown in the red here. More velocity in the throat part. As the cross-sectional area is decreased, velocity automatically increases here. Next, now we'll go for the types of venturimeter. So we have 3 types. There are 3 types of venturimeter: horizontal venturimeter, inclined venturimeter, and vertical venturimeter. Horizontal, inclined, and vertical. Concept will be same here. We'll connect a U-tube manometer here like this. One U-shaped tube will be there. In that one black fluid you can see there, no? That is your manometric fluid. Mostly it will be mercury. Okay, so again these are the images for horizontal. This is for inclined. So this thing which you can see here is called U-tube differential manometer. So this H, you can see this H, capital H, that is the pressure difference we need to calculate. So how much difference is there in this reading? We'll take in terms of centimeters. That is called as pressure difference. In terms of water, we have to consider that. And this is vertical venturimeter. Venturimeter will be vertical, and you will connect the U-tube differential manometer in this way. Next, these are the limitations. Limitations you can see there. They are very large in size, and hence where the space is limited, they cannot be used. In industries, this type of large venturimeters will be used for finding the flow rates. Next, initial cost will be expensive. Installation and maintenance, because inside if something happened, we cannot do anything for that. So maintenance will be a little bit difficult for that. So they cannot be altered for the flow measurement to a wide range. Next, precautions. Before keeping that venturimeter, nothing but before using the venturimeter, we have to drive out all the entrapped air from the differential mercury manometer. Maintain a constant flow rate, nothing but discharge. Flow rate always denoted by discharge before taking any reading for experiments. So characterization of venturimeter. Theoretically, there is no restriction to the flow down the pipe. They can be manufactured to fit to any required pipe size. Depending upon the pipe size, we have to design the venturimeter. The temperature and pressure within the pipe does not affect the meter or its accuracy. Even the temperature increases or the pressure increases, the efficiency or the accuracy of the meter doesn't change. It will not affect that. So there are no moving parts. There are no moving parts in this. Fully it is static part only. Unfortunately, the accurate shape required of the inside of the meter makes them relatively expensive to manufacture. Inside this venturimeter, it should be maintained accurate shape. So that becomes more expensive to manufacture. But it will be hollow part. We need to manufacture it with little bit care, which should be taken while manufacturing it. So that's why it becomes expensive. Next, industrial applications of your venturimeter. So mostly it is used for monitoring and controlling the process flow discharge. It is used to detect system failures easily. Suppose if you have connected a venturimeter and if the readings which it is showing is not correct, we can identify that something is wrong in that flowing fluid or something a failure is happening in that. So that can be done in case of by using venturimeter. They are used in wastewater pipes because their overall design structure allows for solid to pass through it instead of collecting in front of it. Okay, so sometimes if in water pipes, what happens if some waste parts are there, what happens? It will block the throat there. So we can remove that blocked part from the throat because as the cross-sectional area is reduced there, the waste parts will be collected in that. So the flow will be stopped. So if you remove the venturimeter from that part, we can remove that waste solid particles which are moving in the pipe. The venturimeter is also available in your carburetors for car engines, which is used for measuring airflow in that engine. Venturimeter is used there. Okay. Next, calculating flow rate of fluids in the tubes is possible with venturimeter. Settling the flow of gasolines in the ignition systems of a motor vehicles will be done. In the field of medicine, venturimeter is designed to measure the rate of blood flow in the arteries. Right? Venturimeter is used in medicine also, where the blood flow rate can be found out by using this. It can be used to measure the flow rate of water, gases, suspended solids, slurries, and dirty liquids. These are all things which can use for finding the discharge or flow rate of the fluids. Next, we have advantages and disadvantages. It has less chances of getting clogged with the sediment particles. Since it is hollow, the sediment particles, if they are in small size, automatically it will move from that venture. It has high coefficient of discharge. It can be installed vertically, horizontally, and inclinedly. In 3 ways, we can use that. So loss of energy is minimum. Okay, so if you see this venturimeter, this is the initial U-tube manometer where the pressure difference is very low, constant. And later, as the fluid moves here, what happens? The pressure difference will be increased. The difference, if you check here, it will be more, nothing but this H value, the difference here will be more here in case of this throat. Again, after moving from the diverging part, if you connect the U-tube differential manometer, this pressure is almost equal to your initial pressure. Okay, the recovery of pressure is near to the initial or original pressure of the fluid entered at last. It will be almost equal to the inlet values. Next, while coming to disadvantages, its cost is high. As the inside parts to manufacture is a little bit complicated, the cost of manufacturing becomes high. Occupies more space than orifice meter. Orifice meter is the next part. This is also used for finding the discharge. So compared to orifice meter, it will take more space. Maintenance is not easy. Cannot be used in pipes below 7.5 centimeter diameter. Below this centimeter, nothing but we can use the venturimeter for the pipes which has more than 7.5 centimeter diameter. Okay, that's all. So this is about our introduction to venturimeter. Okay, now we'll go for our experiment 1A, right? So first experiment, we have 2 things. That is calibration of venturimeter is first one, 1A. And after this, we have calibration of orifice meter also. So what is our aim here is to determine the coefficient of discharge C suffix D, not C D here like this, C suffix D of a given venturimeter. Aim of our experiment is to determine the coefficient of discharge of a given venturimeter. I think after 10 minutes, our session will be expired. Please join immediately. Okay, because we have 2 hours class. 2 times, I think we have to rejoin the same link. Use the same link to join again. The session is expired. Okay. So the aim is to determine the coefficient of discharge of a given venturimeter. Okay. So this is the tabular column. After doing the experiment, we'll get these readings. I'll show the experiment. What are these? Before that, we need to know what are all the terms used in this. So here, if you see, this is H1. I already shown you the manometer. So H1 is the differential manometer left limb reading. You'll have a YouTube differential manometer. We have 2 limbs for that. Left one is one limb, right one is other limb. So left reading is denoted by H1. In centimeters, you'll get. Right reading, differential manometer right limb reading is H2 in centimeters. Next, this is the H, rise of water in the collecting tank. So how much centimeters of water you are collecting in the collecting tank, and the time taken for that H to increase the height. How many centimeters? For example, I am taking 10 centimeters rise of the collecting tank. So what is the time taken for that 10 centimeters rise? We need to note. So these are all these 4 things we need to note from the experiment. What are that? Manometric reading or differential manometer reading in the left limb is one thing we have to note down. Next, H2 reading in the right limb we have to note down. And this 10 is constant. We are going to collect 10 centimeters of water in the collecting tank. So for this 10 centimeters rise, what is the time taken? That we need to calculate by using your stopwatch. Okay. So these 4 readings we will take from the experiment, and remaining all we will calculate by using the formulas. Is it clear up to now, students? Is it clear? Yes, okay. Okay, please take your observation notes. Randomly, I'll ask someone to show their observation notes. And take the first experiment name. Everybody, please open your observation notes. And if you don't have the notes today, please at least take in one paper or other book. Later, you can copy in the observation. Experiment 1A. In 1, we have the subtopic as A, that is calibration of venturimeter. Write down the aim of the experiment. After taking tabular column, I'll show you the experiment video. Voice break. Okay, have you written this? Experiment name and aim you write down. Next. Right, please copy the tabular column. Don't take these values. These 4 values you have to calculate. Up to 1.9 or up to 16 you can write down. Tabular column fully you write down. After writing, I will tell what are these terms here. Please take the tabular column, because I will give the remaining readings to you. You need to calculate this one, and I will ask someone to tell the reading after calculating.
16.1.
What 16.1? Who's that? If you are finished with copying the table, please inform me. I'll go for the next slide. Can I go for the next slide? Have you copied it? Someone has to reply me. Abhilash, 302. Abhilash,
Sir,
have you copied the table?
sir. Sir?
Have you copied this table in your book?
Yes, sir.
No. Why?
I'm copying, sir.
You need time to copy.
Yes.
Yes, make it fast, make it fast. Okay,
Okay, sir.
unmute yourself. Q actually is A into H by T. This is not X into. Here it is capital X. Here X is there. I wrote here, no? Capital X is differential manometer reading, but here A into H. Okay, I'll tell all the terms here. First, X equal to, what is X means? Nothing but it is differential manometer reading. It is a difference of H1 and H2, nothing but left reading minus or right reading minus left reading. Difference. We need to take the difference of the manometric reading. X equal to H1 minus H2, capital X. And capital H is the differential manometer reading in terms of water we have to take. In terms of water. So here H equal to capital X into SM by SW. What is this S? Properties of fluids. Whether your class has been completed on properties of fluids, in that you know what is this S means. Specific gravity. So here SCM denotes specific gravity of mercury. That value is 13.6. Specific gravity of mercury is 13.6. And down, if you see, we have specific gravity of water. W denotes water here. Nothing but the fluid which is flowing in the pipe we have to take. So specific gravity of water is 1. So H equal to X into SM by SW minus 1. So this is X to find H value. Next, Q actual equal to capital A into H. Capital A into H. What is capital A here? Cross-sectional area of the collecting tank. I'll tell what is that. Into H. H is the how much rise of water you're taking in the collecting tank. Here I wrote there. Size of water in the collecting tank. Always this H is 10 here for our experiment. By time, how much time is taken for this H centimeter rise? So Q actually equal to capital A into H by T. Next, Q theoretical equal to A1, A2 under root of, not to root 2, fully root, under root of 2GH. Keep full root up to 2GH. Under root of 2GH divided by under root of A1 square minus A2 square. Full root for this value also, A1 square minus A2 square. A1, A2 under root of 2GH by root of A1 square minus A2 square. So after finding Q actual and Q theoretical, we can find coefficient of discharge. That is a ratio of actual discharge to the theoretical discharge. Right, now I'm showing the video of the experiment.